Peggy 16.
This month it's a very special episode of PWNED.
Yes, we headed out to Danger Close in LA to talk to the developers behind this year's most authentic military shooter.
We also met the real-life special forces featured in the game, and there's footage of Sian firing a very big machine gun.
Indeed, it can only be the PWNED Medal of Honor Warfighter Special.
Coming up, we find out all about the multiplayer class system in Medal of Honor Warfighter.
I get to fire the real-life weapons featured in the game.
And we find out about one of the Tier 1 units from Warfighter, the UK's very own SAS. Medal of Honor Warfighter is the latest instalment in the Medal of Honor series.
And this time around, the single player and the multiplayer elements within the game were all made at Danger Close using the Frostbite 2 engine.
We headed out to the studio in Los Angeles to find out all about the class system from Creative Director of Multiplayer, Kristoffer Bergqvist.
So we sat down talking with the operators again, and they started talking about everyone they worked with when deployed over there. They talked about the Swedes, they talked about the Germans, and they talked about what they were good at. And we were like, this is really cool. This is basically our class system. So we started expanding on it. So we have twice the amount of classes than we had in the last game. So we can fit all the units into the class where we feel they make most sense.
Can you just run through what they are?
His special ability is the 40mm grenade. He can either launch it from an underbarrel grenade launcher or from a standalone grenade launcher he's carrying on his hip. The Spec Op class ability gives him intel from UAVs and satellite that allows him to pinpoint enemy locations all over the battlefield. It's all about taking that shot without being seen. His class ability is his bipod. He turns stationary, and that makes him undetectable by any sort of UAV or spotting or other means on the battlefield. He will also get direct radar contact with a spotter who helps him to designate targets ahead of him on the battlefield. The heavy gunner is his most powerful when he's stationary. When he goes prone, when he falls out his bipod, that gives him the ability to shoot sustained suppressive fire without reloading. It also gives the heavy gunner access to a minimap that is more directional but has more range. Pointman, the light assaulter kind of person. His special ability is one round of what we call heavy hitter ammunition. It's ammunition that does almost twice the damage but also increased kick. He's carrying flashbangs to disorient enemies so he can really storm into buildings and clear them before the rest of the troops arrive. Demolition is heavily armored. He's wearing an armored suit from Ops Corps. He has a mandible on his helmet he can fold down. That makes him practically invulnerable to gunfire, but he moves really slow, he can't sprint. He's carrying an M32 grenade launcher for devastating firepower. He's awesome.
Classes have special abilities, but they also have support actions. Can you tell us a bit about that as well?
Support actions are rewards you get for earning a lot of points within the same life. So taking objectives, healing your comrades, handing out ammo, stuff like that. Support actions are often either intel, like UAVs, advanced drones, stuff like that. They can also be more lethal, like close air support. The strong team is going to need at least one guy from every class, because they all have their own distinctive role to fill on the battlefield.
You can't have a first-person shooter without guns.
Yeah, very true. Medal of Honor Warfighter features Tier 1 Special Forces operatives, and these guys are very particular about their weapon of choice.
Yes, I popped off to a desert near Los Angeles and met with an ex-member of a US Tier 1 unit who showed me some of the very real weapons from the game.
It's an HK Heckler Koch HK416. Essentially the modern 21st century update of an M16. It's primarily more of a close quarters weapon, but even with the short barrel, the 10.5 inch barrel, I mean, I could shoot this thing out to, 500-600 meters, which is pretty much far enough for any kind of engagement that you'd need.
Who would we expect to see using this?
The HK416 has been adopted it's in use by both American Tier 1 units. It's also in use with the Polish Grom. right, this one right here is the Finn Fabrique Nationale Scar.
What unit would you expect to see using this?
One of them offhand would be the Australian SASR. Very hardcore group of guys and very good in the field. One of the things about this weapon, particularly kind of with their style, this would be kind of a patrol rifle. It's a little bit too long to be a straight CQB weapon, but this would be a good standard, you know, patrolling weapon to where, you know, you got a good amount of reach with this barrel. It's got, first of all, you got this side folding stock, which gives it a very, you know, small compact design. You've got different barrel lengths. You can go with a slightly longer, slightly shorter barrel. You've got multiple different sight options because of the Picatinny rail on top. You got rails on the side here. I could put a bipod on here. All these different things, you know, can be tailored to whatever kind of mission you're doing.
Next up, we've got the Daniel Defense MK18, and this is a sexy gun.
In the game, the Spec Ops build for SAS uses a Mark 18. The Spec Ops build is kind of a low visibility, you know, not in full assault kit. You're kind of in more civilian type clothes in a city, working in an environment where you don't want to have a high visibility. So the Daniel Defense Mark 18 is built perfectly for that. It's very small, compact gun, something you could keep under, you know, code or in a gym bag or something. As an example, Operation Nimrod, which would be the Iranian embassy takedown that they did so successfully a number of years ago. Had that happen today, this would be something they could kind of bring into the city and not attract a ton of attention.
Have you ever worked with them?
Yes, I have. There's a very close relationship between U.S. Tier 1 forces and the SAS. The foundation of American Tier 1 unit was based on the SAS. There's a lot of similarities there and a lot of working back and forth together.
And there'll be more of that later. I'm actually quite scared of you now.
You should be. Right, before we go, now some of you probably already know this, but Warfighter's multiplayer mode features 12 global Tier 1 operator units.
And whilst we were out in LA, I got to ask executive producer Greg Goodrich about his favourite.
The Polish Grom, well, they make an appearance in single player in the Bosnia mission. The Grom are just cool. You know, when we chose the operators and the different units from the 10 different nations that we're featuring in Warfighter, one of the first units that our consultants, the guys that we work with, suggested was the Polish Grom. They clearly have a great deal of respect for not only their tenacity, their training, and their ability to get the job done, but just their straight up attitude. Grom are an unapologetic, hard pipe-hitting group of warriors who just get the job done.
One of the global Tier 1 units playable in the game is the UK Special Air Service, or SAS.
We got the incredible opportunity to chat to a former member to find out a bit more about this elite unit.
Well, the SAS was formed in the early 40s by David Sterling. They wanted to create a special force, a special air service, to go into the western deserts and take the fight to the Germans. The SAS is a small, uncompromising, hard-hitting, powerful machine that stops for nothing. It's very demanding on the individuals. We have a robust selection procedure, it lasts for 6 months, and you do a lot of physical activities on the Brecon Beacons, on the hills. You do a period in the jungle in Brunei, in Borneo. You've got to make sure that you're physically and mentally robust enough. You know, you're living on rations, you're sweating the whole time, your body's degrading, everything wants to bite you and scratch you and sting you. And that's just a selection period. The pass rate at the moment is between 11 and 13%. Between 75 and 80% of people that fail take themselves off the course. The SAS trains as real as we can, but you can't compare training and operations. You know, you can't emulate that fear that's there when someone's, you know, about to try and kill you. At the time, you're concentrating on doing your job, and if you don't, if you switch off, you know, you're going to get shot. And that's the reality of it. Special forces units around the world have moulded themselves on the SAS, and they've used that as a template because it works. We're a small group of individuals, highly motivated people. We have a great affinity with the US and the American Special Forces. They all have this common sort of ethos get the job done regardless. The SAS is surrounded by myth, and we do get up to a lot that's not reported in the papers. You know, we're a good, you know, arsenal to have. I would sum up life as a Special Forces person as unique. And it's very demanding. The SAS stops for nothing. It's a powerful machine. It's a tough life. The most rewarding aspect for me was the ability to go away with your friends, a group of mates, work colleagues, on an operation, for example, hostage rescue, and do that hostage rescue, see the look on that hostage's face when he's released, and then they've gone back to their family and you've gone home to your family. You know, there's no greater feeling in the world than that.
Medal of Honor Warfighter's single-player campaign tells the personal story of US Tier 1 operator Preacher as he fights for peace and his family. Video director Drew Stauffer tells us more.
I think it's going to give gamers a unique experience. You know, we're going to give them an incredible, intense, exciting, fun, you know, action-packed game experience, but also we're going to give them an insight into what, you know, these operators go through and what their families go through at home. And I think, you know, giving them that look into the sacrifices that are made at home is going to make what they're doing even more meaningful and make the game more impactful overall.
Right, now it's time to get back to Sian firing fully automatic machine guns in the desert.
Just another day in the office. The G36C, talk to me.
Been in use by the Germans for quite a long time. This is the KSK. They're a very, very solid unit.
Within the game you can modify this gun. What would you recommend?
We got some really good sights in the game. I'd probably put like a aimpoint micro on here.
Okay, now we've got the Daniel Defense M4.
This is Daniel Defense M4, which is very similar to the Daniel Defense Mark 18. In fact, except for the sights, from here back, it's the exact same as the Mark 18. This one has a 16-inch barrel, so it's a little bit longer, it gives you more range. Back here, we've got an aimpoint 3 power and an aimpoint micro on LaRue mounts. So you come out and you got a 0 power red dot. Now, if you need a little bit more range, you need to see further out and take a longer shot, all you do is grab this, put this over, and now you've got a 3 power in front of your red dot. This is a LaRue OBR in 5.56, and this is a LaRue OBR in 7.62. This weapon right here is actually the cover gun. This one's to be used by the sniper class in the game, and this one's used specifically by the SFOD point man in the game. I've shot both of them, they are dead on accurate. This is more of a sniper combo where the sniper or shooter would have this, and the spotter or team leader, what have you, would be utilizing the OBR in 5.56.
Ideal for the two-man fire teams.
Exactly, that's what it's designed for in real life, and that's what it's designed for in the game.
Well, that's it for the PWNED Medal of Honor Warfighter Special.
Don't forget, as ever, you can subscribe to us by clicking on the link on screen right now.
Medal of Honor Warfighter is out on October the 26th in Europe, and we'll leave you with a little taster of what's to come.